Hi, I'm Joshua Smith and this is Illustrated City Adelaide. Hi, I'm Joshua Smith. I work as a self-taught miniaturist. I live and work in my studio, which is based in Norwood, South Australia, an inner suburb east of the city of Adelaide. We're heading to Pave Cafe, which is just across the road from where we live, and yeah, it's where we come for our morning coffee and tea.
Cappuccino.
And a cappuccino in the other one. So yeah, we come to Pave Cafe pretty much every weekend. We're lucky that Laura's on holidays at the moment, so we'll be coming here a bit more regular. It's just so convenient that we can sort of walk downstairs, walk just across the road, and we're at our favourite cafe. We've been coming here for, well, as long as you've been living here now, so...
At least 3 years.
Yeah. And yeah, we're friends with the owner and all of the staff, which are lovely people. So yeah, it's a great way to start the day. This is a current work in progress that I've been working on, which is based on the Village Cigar shop, which is in Greenwich Village in Manhattan, New York City. This is quite a complex build and probably the first build that I've done which is over a series of layers. So there'll be a subterranean level where it's got these 2 subway entrances leading down to that. It'll have the street level, the rooftop section, and then there'll be a billboard which is on the building next door. So when it's completed, it'll have full electronics throughout, so it'll have working street lights, working lights for the billboards, working electronic signs. But yeah, it's probably one of the most ambitious builds that I've done yet. Really high level of detail, and yeah, trying to focus on every small detail that I can based on the reference photos that have been given. So this is another project which I've been working on for a client, which is based on a bodega or a a deli grocery in Brooklyn in New York City. A few years ago, I was contacted by Bezt of Etam Cru in Poland, which approached me with the idea of doing a project where the two of us collaborated on doing a miniature together, of which I would build a miniature that he would then paint a miniature mural onto.
Cześć, nazywam się Mateusz Gabski. Jestem jednym z założycieli grupy Etam. Z Joshuą Smith poznaliśmy się w 2019 roku. Znaczy, ja jego pracę znałem już wcześniej. Postanowiłem do niego napisać na Instagramie i tak się poznaliśmy, powiedzmy. Postanowiliśmy razem stworzyć projekt, którego wcześniej nikt z nas nie robił, czyli on zrobi miniaturę, ja pomaluję jej ścianę. Wybraliśmy Łódź z tego względu, że ja tam długo mieszkałem, studiowałem i jestem dość związany z Łodzią, a jedna z tych kamienic była po prostu idealna dla naszego projektu. Sposób naszej współpracy był dość ciekawy, bo ja od niego dostałem ścianę, fragment tak naprawdę deski, który później został ścianą, na którym ja miałem to pomalować, nie widząc w ogóle tak naprawdę żadnego dodatkowego elementu, co było dość takim ciekawym sposobem malowania, bo nigdy wcześniej, tak jak mówię, nie robiłem czegoś takiego. Dla mnie też ten format, który był dość mały, tak naprawdę był bardzo ciekawy. Fajnie się nam współpracowało, Joshua jest bardzo fajnym człowiekiem, bardzo miłą, ciepłą osobą, więc i ta współpraca była na tyle otwarta, że każdy z nas robił tak naprawdę co chciał i w jakikolwiek sposób jest przyzwyczajony do swojej pracy, więc bardzo miło to wspominam. Pozdrawiam serdecznie wszystkich widzów z Polski i z całego świata.
I spent maybe about a month scouring locations using Google Maps Street View until I came across this location. So it's based on an old tenement building which now no longer exists. The front and the right-hand side of the building is pretty much exactly how I built the miniature, and the side that Bezt painted the mural on is actually, in reality, it's right next to another building, but with the miniature we've made it look like it's a vacant lot next door and that he's got his mural on that side. Once I had the reference photos from Google Maps Street View, I built the initial wall that Bezt would paint onto, so I built that wall separate, shipped it off to him in Poland for him to paint the miniature mural on, while I then constructed the remaining walls and the interior. So over the course of maybe about 4 months, I scratch built the entire miniature, right down to every individual brick. All of the bricks on the miniature are all terracotta and plaster of Paris. I actually made a silicone mold and actually molded my own miniature bricks and then glued every single brick onto a surface one by one to give it the decayed look that the real building has. So the real building's got all of this plaster which is falling off the wall, exposing all this brickwork, and the miniature has the same exact thing. After about 4 months of me building the miniature and then getting the side portion from Bezt, it was all combined together to create the one work, and then it was shipped off to a gallery in Denmark. So yeah, these are photographs of the final work. So I had my local photographer Andrew Beveridge, which took the photos. Just for scale, you can see a photograph of me next to it in my kitchen. So we're just at Kintaro Sushi now, which is our local sushi joint. It's like literally just a few doors up from us. And yeah, it's kind of like a special treat. We come here like once every few months, so eating out today. So my favourite place to come to in Adelaide is the Himeji Japanese Gardens on South Terrace. So let's take a walk and go explore. So I've got a free small miniature to give away to whoever finds it. Let us know in the comments. So this is Hugo Michell, which is a local art gallery that we check out about once a month, and this is the current exhibition that they've got on at the moment, so we're going to check it out. So we're just currently on Norwood Parade and down one of the alleyways nearby where I live and have my studio, we've placed a miniature air conditioner of mine. So occasionally we'll make miniatures and then we'll install them in the real world. Kind of like a little bit of hidden Easter egg. My favourite city is Hong Kong, but I would love to travel to New York and Tokyo as well. Looking at the photographs that we took earlier, we went out and we found a fire hydrant which is just up the parade. So I took a bunch of reference photos which I'm now going to base a small quick miniature on. From here with the reference photos, what I've done is I've created a vector design. So we've got a side profile image of the hydrant as to what it looks like. And then from here, what I've done is I've brought this into a 3D design program. I've created a 3D design based on the 2D vector image. So you can see here that we can rotate around the design. That'll allow me to resin print the design. So once I've got the 3D render design, what I then do is I send that information to my resin printer. So it prints it onto this metal build plate, and what it does is it extracts the design out of a vat of resin goo and slowly cures the design as it's extruding it from the resin. And when it comes out, it looks something similar to this. This print here, I printed overnight, and what I've done is I've washed the print using water, and then I've cured it with UV light. So the next from here is that this would require sanding, and then it's ready for painting. So yeah, every year, instead of doing miniatures around the time of April Fool's Day, I do the complete opposite. So instead of making a miniature, I make a giant thing. In previous years, for using as a scale reference, I've used things like a coin or a key or something like an X-Acto blade. And around the time of April Fool's Day, what I've done to kind of fool the viewer is I've made giant replicas of these objects and then put them next to real life buildings, but then still photographed or filmed them in a way that it looks like a miniature, and people are fooled to think that it is a miniature because I've used the same object in the past as a scale reference. So usually either the day before or the morning of, I'll put it up as a still photograph of the giant object next to the location. So people initially get the idea that it's still a miniature, but it's a highly detailed, realistic miniature. And then I'll do the reveal either later that day or the next day, and it's usually video footage of me walking onto screen and then picking up, let's say, for example, a giant key, and then walking off screen, and then it makes the viewer think, okay, that was a giant thing, but all of the previous photographs up to this point, have they been miniatures or have they been giant replicas of things? So yeah, it really messes with people's perceptions. So we're here at the real life location of one of the very first Adelaide miniatures that I've ever built, which is the old Bell Plumber shop located in St. Peter's. Looking at this one to build now. The front of the business is like so good in terms of a miniature. All the tiles which have fallen off the wall, all the old advertising. It's got enough to it that I would want to build it. Previously to being a miniaturist, I used to run an art gallery called Espionage, which was on the second floor of this building, which I ran about 75 exhibitions over a 4-year period with local, interstate and international emerging and established artists. So here we have a local gallery called Gallery Flaneur, which is a small art gallery just situated inside of a brick wall, which they have exhibitions about every month. And this month they've got a local artist which goes by the name of Nick Fay, or Cloak and Dagger. Currently we're on Fisher Place, which is my favourite alleyway in Adelaide. I love everything about this location. All of the old buildings are fantastic. It's got old dumpsters, it's got lots of layers of grime, rubbish is strewn everywhere, graffiti, grime. It's one of my favourite places. So this is Galactic Video, the only remaining video rental store left in Adelaide. I used to come here quite a bit and get weekly rentals on DVD. It's a really cool place. It's got like 3,000 DVDs or something ridiculous like that. Outside of doing miniatures, my passion is cinema. I love cinema. I'm always researching films which are being newly released on 4K and Blu-ray. Maybe about a year and a half ago, my partner and I started up something which we call Secret Cinema, which is an outdoor film night that we do about every 2 to 3 weeks, weather permitting, where we set it up for our friends. We take projector outside. We've got a massive big wall outside that we project onto, always showing like cult classic films, foreign or obscure cinema, something that we think people haven't seen before. I've got the tickets here for the last one that we showed, which was Midnight, which was a South Korean film from last year. The upcoming one that we have is Dario Argento's 1985 horror giallo supernatural thriller Phenomena, which stars Jennifer Connelly and Donald Pleasance. We go all out for it. We make tickets for every event. We hand those out to all of the guests. We've got trailers which play before all of the films, and then when daylight savings ends, we do a double feature. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun, something to do that we enjoy with our friends, and sometimes I think that I look forward to doing that more than I like doing the miniatures. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to do. This is the bulk of my film collection. I'm absolutely nuts about cinema, constantly doing research on films which are coming out. So I think in total there's about 1,500, maybe 1,600 DVDs, Blu-rays, 4K, and a couple of VHS as well. All of this is stuff that I've watched, and then a separate smaller pile is the stuff that I've still yet to watch. So previously to doing miniatures, I used to do stencil artwork. So I was doing stencil artwork as a job and was exhibiting my work in galleries and on the street. So I was doing that for a number of years, maybe about 17 years or so. But when I started doing the miniatures, no one was really doing stencil art in Adelaide until my partner Laura was. I would walk around the streets, and at the time she was super prolific. She had work on all of the streets in Adelaide. I would often come across her work, and once I managed to find her on Instagram, the two of us started up a conversation. We had that in common, and from there we started a friendship, which turned into a relationship, and then it turned into being married to one another. But yeah, it's great because we're both creatives, but we also have that common ground that both of us have done stencil artworks. Me previously in the past, and now Laura doing that as one of her main art mediums at the moment.
So this is the kind of work that I do. I tend to do stencils. I intend to put on the street. So this is about maybe a 12 or 15 layer stencil that I've worked on. The main tool I use is this penknife. I tend to work right here on my workspace. This is a piece that me and Josh worked on together. It's a collaboration of his miniature work and my paste up work or stencil work. This is one of the pieces that I put on the actual door, and then Josh recreated for it for Valentine's Day, I think it was. Yeah, as a surprise. This is the door that Josh based the miniature on. Unfortunately now it's covered, as you can see.
You haven't seen any of the beaches yet.
You could take the tram and that would take maybe half an hour?
Yeah, the tram goes direct from Adelaide to Glenelg. Yeah, Glenelg's quite nice. Like walking along the jetty and stuff down there is really nice.
Yeah.